Conjunction fallacy, applying the concept in counseling. 1. Understanding the conjunction fallacy. The conjunction fallacy occurs when people mistakenly believe that specific conditions are more likely than general ones. This bias arises because detailed or vivid scenarios feel more plausible, even though adding more conditions to a scenario decreases its probability. For example, someone might believe Linda is a feminist bank teller is more likely than Linda is a bank teller, even though the second statement encompasses the first and more. In counseling, this bias can manifest in clients' thinking patterns, leading to faulty assumptions, exaggerated fears, or unrealistic expectations. 2. How the conjunction fallacy is useful in counseling. Promotes logical thinking, helps clients recognize when their assumptions are influenced by vivid but less probable scenarios, encourages balanced risk assessment, guides clients to focus on broader, more realistic probabilities rather than getting lost in unlikely details, reduces anxiety and overgeneralization, assists clients in separating plausible fears or concerns from improbable, emotionally charged scenarios. 3. Practical application in counseling. A. Identifying the conjunction fallacy. Activity: what's more likely? Ask clients to reflect on assumptions they've made about situations or outcomes. Are you adding unnecessary details to the scenario? How does the likelihood of this compare to simpler explanations? Example: a client who believes, I'll fail the presentation because I'll stutter and my boss will judge me, might explore whether these combined fears are less likely than simply being nervous but performing adequately. Counselor's role: help clients identify where their thinking has been influenced by this bias and encourage them to simplify their assumptions. B. Reframing thinking patterns. Exercise: break it down. Encourage clients to separate scenarios into simpler components and evaluate their probabilities. What are the chances of each part happening? Does adding details make the outcome more likely or less? Example: a client anxious about a health condition might realize that their combined fears of a rare illness and an unlikely misdiagnosis are less probable than a simpler explanation, such as temporary stress symptoms. Teaching probability awareness. Guide clients to evaluate scenarios based on statistical likelihood and evidence. How does this fit with what typically happens? What's the simplest explanation based on the facts? Example: a client fearing both job loss and financial ruin might explore how losing their job alone is less likely when combined with extreme financial consequences. 4. Detailed tips for application. Normalize the bias. Explain that the conjunction fallacy is common because vivid scenarios feel more compelling, but that recognizing it can lead to clearer thinking. Encourage simplification. Teach clients to strip away unnecessary details and focus on broader, more likely outcomes. Focus on evidence. Help clients rely on data, trends, or simpler patterns rather than emotionally charged assumptions. Example: anxiety counseling. A client fearing that a minor mistake at work will lead to being fired and never finding another job might explore the likelihood of each event and focus on immediate, manageable concerns. Relationship counseling. A client convinced their partner is unfaithful because of a series of small behaviors might examine simpler explanations like stress or miscommunication rather than combining unrelated assumptions. Self-esteem counseling. A client believing they'll fail because of multiple imagined flaws, e.g., nervousness, inexperience, lack of support, might focus on addressing one specific concern and recognize its isolated impact. 6. Integrating conjunction fallacy techniques into a course of treatment. Initial sessions. Explore areas where clients' thinking is influenced by overly specific scenarios and introduce the concept of simplifying assumptions. Midway through counseling. Use thought records or reflective exercises to help clients identify and break down conjunction-based fears or expectations. Ongoing work. Reinforce logical thinking and encourage clients to focus on broader, more likely explanations rather than detailed, improbable ones. Outcome measurement. Assess whether clients demonstrate improved clarity, reduced anxiety, and better decision-making by avoiding overly specific assumptions. 7. Conclusion. The conjunction fallacy can lead clients to focus on overly specific, improbable scenarios, distorting their thinking and heightening anxiety. In counseling, addressing this bias helps clients simplify their assumptions, evaluate probabilities logically, and focus on realistic outcomes. By fostering awareness, critical thinking, and emotional balance, counselors empower clients to navigate challenges with greater clarity and confidence.